Okay then, end grain bowls, why do we do them? Okay then, on the lathe we have a piece of Balinese teak, which is wider than it is deep, right? Right, end grind bowls. I get asked this question quite a lot because, as anybody who's been following the channel knows, I do quite a lot of end grind bowls. And the question is, why would you do them? Right, there's a few reasons. Right, number one, you get a piece like this that is wider than it is deep, right? But I actually cut this piece deliberately like this to do this video, so I can try and explain this better. But the main reason I do them is design, right? If you can get into the idea into your head of doing an end grain bowl rather than our normal side grain ones, it opens up an entirely new design aesthetic to you, right? Like, let me see, monkey puzzle, in my opinion, should always be done end grain, because you get the ring around where the branches come in instead of having this kind of stripe going through it. One I would love to do is that maple from Canada, ambrosia maple. I think that done in an end grain bowl would be stunning, because you would get that kind of star effect in the bottom of the bowl. Right, this, as I said, is Balinese maple, or not Balinese maple, Balinese teak. Right, now I'm going to round this off and I'm going to put a tenon on it, not a mortise. You should never put a mortise on an end grain bowl. You're basically trying to rip the fibres apart there, and all the fibres are going up and down, remember, so they're really easy to rip. So it should only ever be a tenon on one. Right, I'm going to round this off, stick it in a chuck, and then we'll get on to doing it, and I'll go into the way you have to think differently. Okay then, we're rounded off and we have a tenon on it. Right, so I'm going to start doing the rough shape. There's a couple of cracks in it, but I'll cut the shape, then sort out the cracks. It's the simplest way of doing it, right? And then I'm going to do something that's going to freak people out. But this is what I was saying about your mindset when you're doing an end grain bowl. So just hogging away wood at the moment, don't care about finished cuts or anything else. Just getting wood out of my way. And now I'm going to grab a continental spindle gouge and use it. People are probably going, no, you can't use that on a bowl. This isn't the bowl. Okay. This is just a giant spindle. It doesn't matter how big the bowl is. It's still a spindle. Remember, when we talk about spindle orientation blanks and bowl orientation blanks, we're talking about the way the grain runs. Right? So if this was twice the size, the grain would still be running that way. Same as a spindle. So if you're doing end grain bowls, it is perfectly safe to use spindle tools on them, right? Well, it's this type of spindle tool where the tang is thin. Like, I could have rounded this off with the spindle roughing gouge, and people would have been immediately screaming at the screen. This is not, you've got to get it out of your head that this is a bowl. It's not, it's just a giant spindle. So spindle tools, all of them are completely safe to use in an end grain bowl. I kind of have a shape in mind that I want to do this. Nice light finish cut. Right. Check those cracks. There's one there. There's one there. Right, so before I sand this, I'm going to treat those cracks, and then I'm going to sand it, and I'll be right back. And you'll start to see why doing an end grain bowl, bowl gives you options. Right, just buffing the wax off. And something I forgot to say when I was throwing the outside of this is, because this is a spindle, you turn it the opposite way to a bowl. You know, from if we're doing finished cuts on a bowl blank, we come from the bottom up. Because this is spindle, you follow spindle rules and you cut downhill. Right? Right, and now that you're here, there is a new Irish Woodturning Facebook page, right? It's based around Ireland, the island of Ireland, both south and north, right? And it's run by Irish woodturners. The admins are all Irish woodturners. You might recognise a few names on it. One of the main things is it's not affiliated with any club or the guild or anything. It's a free and open one. Everybody can join it. You don't have to be Irish, but you be pre-warned, everything is going to be Irish centred, right? It's called Irish Woodturning, and as I said, you'll probably recognise a few names when you get there, but I'll leave a link below to it. Right, it's only been up and running when this video comes out. How many days have been up and running? 3 or 4 days, right? And there's 50 odd members in it so far, so it's actually going quite well. But there's stuff shared on it, like, you know, what's going on around the country. There's Ireland specific tips and tricks. If there's anything that's going for sale that's around that could be useful to woodturners, that's all up on it. You know, it's a resource we didn't have in Ireland. Like, there's loads of them for the US and there's loads of them for England, but there's no real page that isn't affiliated with the club. Right, well, there is now. So as I said, it's called Irish Woodturning. I'll leave a link below, and if you're interested, come along and join up. Right, that is the outside of it. Now, what I was saying about design, right? You see the way the heartwood is all the way around it. You can see it no matter what side of the bowl you look at. It even goes up there a little bit. If you're doing a standard bowl, what you will get is, and you say it was like this, right? You will get heartwood, sapwood, sapwood, right? But with an end grain bowl, you get the heartwood and sapwood design all the way around it. As I said, it's just, it opens up more design possibilities to you if you do them. Right? So if it's something you've never done or never thought of, give it a shot. You might be in for a nice surprise. Right, we get this off and we hollow it. Right, design, yeah, it's fitting in the hand. Design I'm working on seems to be working fine. I want it like I want it to be able to fit in a hand and be held. Right, so we'll flip this over and I'll be right back. Right, then we're flipped around. First thing I'll do, of course, is flatten it off. A little too fast. Now, one thing you need to remember, especially when you get to the hollowing part, right, is this is end grain. You're not going to get big long streamers out of it. Right, it's just not going to happen. Right, let's grab a parting tool and define what size I want this bowl. There's a load of wood in here, so I'm working around it. So about there. Right. Now, when you're hollowing end grain, you can either back hollow or you can hollow as normal. Right? There is no, you must do it this way. Right? But as a rule of thumb for myself, what I do is if I'm doing a large one, I hollow like normal. If I'm doing something that's kind of thin and tall like this one, I'll back hollow it. But in order to make it easy, I'm going to drill out a lot of this because it makes it so much easier, especially when you're back hollowing. Right, so I'm going to grab a big drill bit. Stick it in. Now I don't know where my depth gauge has gone, so I'll just use a pencil. About there. So about the middle of that. Now we get to hollowing it, and as I said, I'm going to back hollow this one because of the shape of it. But there is no kind of hard and fast rule that you have to back hollow end grain or anything like that. You can do it either way. It's just that your last cut, remember it's a spindle, should come from the inside out. Right then, the walls are nice and even, but I do want to hit that with the naked rake scraper before I put a finish on it, and I also want to put some CA on those cracks that are on the inside of it. It's hard to tell if some of these are cracks or grind. I will err on the side of caution. Right. Spin it up a little bit faster to force that glue into those cracks. Grab the bigger red scraper. Hurry up the camera. Raise the board, and I'll be back in a second. Right then, CA should be well forced in there. Right, just check my cutting height. I'm a little low. Yeah, that's it. Right, now we give the inside of this a scrape. Same as with the gouge, you're not going to get streamers out of this. Right, I need to get a smaller scraper down in just for that curve. So I will use the carbide. Just to even that curve out, but I'll use it at a 45 degree. So it shouldn't wet the wood too much. There you go. Right. Now it's time to finish the inside. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. Alright then, just popping the wax off. Something I forgot to mention before I turned the cameras off there. Before you sand it, take it off, chuck and all, right, and soak the pit in thin CA. It really helps to stop it cracking from the pit, right? I mentioned Monkey Puzzle earlier on, right? Monkey Puzzle doesn't have a true pit, right? It's got this kind of sponge stuff. It's about that wide in the middle of a big Monkey Puzzle tree. It's got this kind of sponge stuff in there, right? There's two ways of handling it. Either you can just knock it out and make a plug for it, right? What makes a good plug for it is Monkey Puzzle branch, because it'll match the rings that are around the bowl. Right, or you can just soak that in thin CA. It solidifies it and it never falls out. Right. Oh, I forgot to actually do that bit on camera, sorry. Right, now you can see the advantage of an end grain bowl. You can really see it on the inside, where you have hardwood coming up the entire bowl all the way around it, instead of just a bit here and a bit here and a bit here. Right. As I said, doing an end grain bowl opens up such an amount of design opportunities. It's not funny really, but you just got to remember that the spindle rules apply, not the bowl rules, because it is a giant spindle. Alright then, we'll take this off. I'll sort out the base and I'll give you a better look at it. Right, now I actually have a homemade tool here for sorting out ones that are this size, because they won't fit in the vacuum chuck. So off the bowl comes, I'll stick it over there out of the way. Right, and what it is just a block that goes into the chuck. Right, it's got sponge on it. Bowl on, slide up the tailstock, make it a friction fit, and now we can take that off. The big board that I used to use was just a pain doing small bowls like this, and this is too small for the vacuum chuck, so that's the yoke I use, just in case I've used anybody. Alright, so I'll take this off, I'll be right back. Right, and here we have it, a nice little 5.5 by 4.5 end grain Balinese teak bowl. Hopefully that's kind of cleared up the question of why would you ever do an end grain bowl. My favourite one to it is that it opens up so many different design opportunities to you. Right, as I said, you can see the wood, the heartwood all the way around the outside of that bowl, not just kind of coming up on two sides. Right. Another one is, like, we've all probably had it where a friend will ring you and going, I've just cut a tree down and it's cut up, do you want to come and take it? And you arrive and it's a load of cookies. The amount of guys I've spoken to who have told me that stuff like that has happened and that they've just gone, no, it's cut wrong, I can't use it. You can. Like, if you're going to cook it, it's 12 inches by 4 inches. There's an 11-inch bowl in that if you do it end grain. Right. As I said earlier on, the new club, or not club, the new group on Facebook, it's Irish based. There'll be a lot of Irish geared things in it. Right, I'll leave a link below to it. And then the last thing is, remember when you're doing an end grain bowl, it is not bowl rules, it's spindle rules. Right, because an end grain bowl is just a giant spindle. It doesn't matter how big it is, it's still just a giant spindle. So it's spindle rules, cut downhill, everything is backwards to a normal bowl, that kind of stuff. So if you enjoyed that one, I got out of it, if you wouldn't mind clicking like on the video. Hopefully I'll see you in the group, and I'll see you in the next one.